Good morning, I'm Kathy from Stitch It Together. Today I'm going to be continue working on my Hunter Star quilt. It's an AccuQuilt quilt, and I am going to be changing something up. This was a project meant for me to learn, not just in the AccuQuilt, that block, but also in what I am quilting inside of it. And yesterday I quilted out the what I want to call the first row of my AccuQuilt, and it's custom quilted, so it has block placement and sashing placement, and I didn't change anything with the pattern, but today I am going to change that. And I think it's really important to note that I know that this is going to make the quilt not look even when I quilt it out, but this is a practice project, and just like any skill that you do have to decide that you're going to be practicing. Everything can't be a game day, so this was meant for me to practice with, and I wouldn't choose something I'm going to be gifting to somebody if I was going to do that, but I want to show you what I'm going to do today. These blocks, and the pattern is beautiful, and the digital quilting is beautiful, but as you can see, these blocks, the pattern doesn't quite fit in there, like doesn't quite fill up the spaces very well, and I'm not unhappy with that, but I do think that there is a way that I can change that. It is the same with the sashing. There's some space right here that could be filled in a little bit better. The triangles fit wonderfully, and the on-point square fits wonderfully. I'm not disappointed with that at all. And again, if I were to leave this, it would be fine. But I do know that I have the skills to perhaps get these blocks to fill in a little bit better, and so that's what I'm going to be doing today. If you will watch on my Facebook page or my YouTube page, I'm going to show you how I'm going to be placing these blocks and how I'm going to use PatternCAD to make some edits to these patterns. So thank you for watching, and happy quilting, everybody. This is how I'm going to be placing and editing all at once the blocks by Pro Stitcher that go into the Hunter Star block. First, you're going to set your safe area, then open up into Select and Sew. It doesn't matter which one you actually pick, but that is the block I'm going to be using. And so how I want to start is, first I want to show you why you want to use the method I'm going to show you. I also need to say that you can only use this method if you have the Pro version. If you have Plus, you don't have PatternCAD, so you wouldn't be able to use this method. But I'm going to show you that we have this block, and the first thing I want to do is use the marking tool to draw out on screen my shape. So I'm going to go to Plugins, and I'm going to select the marking tool. Once I select that, you're going to see that there's going to be a window that pops up here. So there, so now I'm in the marking tool, but now you have this window. You can toggle back and forth between the marking tool and the placements screen. It might not look like there's a difference, but there is. So I'm going to use the marking tool first to mark the shape that I'm going to be placing into and editing. So I'm just going to add these points first. This video is going to be broken up into several different segments, and I hope that you will find the time, if you're interested in this, to watch all of them. But they will also be put on my YouTube channel, all joined together, and with some other diagrams if you are looking for maybe the whole tutorial all at once. So again, this is just marking the shape that I want to place this pattern into. Okay, so that's how you use the marking tool. Well, now if I wanted to place this block, let me go to placements. You would have a lot of options. You can use 1 point, you can use 2 points. 2 points would probably not work, but you also have like a block placement would work for you. It could also do 4 points. But notice that with all of those, the ones that would make sense, except for the 1 point, that you have to have a square. So you would have to go on your fabric, and you would have to use rulers and some kind of marking device to make that square, to make those placements. And that's okay. You can do that. It doesn't take all that long if that's what you need to do. And if you have Plus, if you don't have the Pro version, that's in fact what I would do. I would mark these out, and you would have to use one of the placement methods. Probably the one I would use would be 1 point. Now notice that with 1 point, you have an option that you don't have in any other placements, and that is where you can size it. So if I was going to use one placement, I would want to use the center so that it would go to the center, and I would click on center, or I would move my machine to the center, and then I would place that block so that it's in the center, and then I would say, okay, it's outside, but it's not really. Then I would make sure that my ratio lock is on so that when I make any changes to the size, that it's going to do it uniformly. So I would make sure that was locked, and then I would just shrink it. And it's going to do that until I continue to do that. I can actually, might be easier for me to say 10. Okay, so now it's not going to do that, and I would use my buttons right here to size that down. And as you can see, this is quite time consuming. But once you get to it, the only reason I'm trying to demonstrate this to you is for anyone that has plus, or if this will work again for something else for you, is that once you get it to the size that you want, you can save it. So this is the only placement method, 1 point, where you can make that size. And I'm not going to resize mine and save it that way, but this is the only one where once you get it the size that you would like it, you would be able to save it and save it as something else, probably name it like Hunter Star 4 inches. And that will save you some time when you go to place all the rest of the blocks to just pull up. It will come up into the size that you've saved it. You won't have to adjust it as much. So I'm going to stop this video, and then I'm going to start the next one that shows you what to do next. So again, I guess what I really need to end with is that the reason I would want to use a different placement method is because for 1 point, you would have to go through, you would have to have a center block like this if you wanted to use 1 point placement. And then notice that you could try and rotate it to get it fit in there better. But if you wanted to make any adjustments, you can't, because this is the only screen. But if you were to use one of the other placement methods, like a block placement, which is 2 points, or the 4 point placement, 4 points, you would have to draw on your quilt. You would have to draw out a box around your shape so that you could use those points. So my next video is going to be a method to avoid having to do that and to be able to make some edits in PatternCAD itself to save you some time. This is the second part. I want to show you now what to do with the Hunter's Star, or if you're going to be using PatternCAD to help you, to aid you in placing your pattern. So what I have to review, I used the marking tool to make my shape. And again, it didn't matter which pattern I opened up Select and Sew into. The next thing that you want to do is, after you've made your shape, and again, that's very important, you need to come into Select and Sew first. You're going to exit out of Select and Sew, and you're going to reopen in PatternCAD. Then there's a box right over here that says Safe Area, just like that. And now you see, there's your marking right there. You're in PatternCAD, and the red is your colors might be different, but that is going to be your safe area, and that is the pattern that you just marked. Now I'm going to be selecting my pattern to put inside of this block. So here I go. And it's this block right here. All right. So now, as you can see, it is very big, so it's going to need to be sized, just like it was in the other screen. So what I can do now is I need to use this button right here, Select All, and that selects all my points. And then I'm going to do something. It's over here. That is kind of a mess. I can't really see what's going on there. So I'm going to go to Nodes, and that makes all those nodes disappear. I'm going to go to Size, and there's a lock right here, and this is your ratio lock, so that when you make size or movements, or size actually, that it's going to shrink or get larger all in proportion no matter which direction. So I would want to lock that. In the beginning, I can, with all my points selected, I can drag it to where I want it to be. So just know that you can do that. All right. And then you can also, there's a move button right there. You can also use arrows to move it. And how you control that is, there's another button called Step. That controls in any one touch how much anything is going to move in any one time. So that's on teeny right now, and I would suggest at least small. So if I hit that now, I can also move it by using these buttons. So I'm going to size it really quickly, and I'm going to size it down. I'm going to make my step bigger. There we go. So that's how you would size it inside of PatternCAD. Now you also have some other options, just so you're aware. So now I can't really see it, so let me just show you one more thing. You can use the magnify button, and that is going to, I can do that a couple of times so that I can see what it is that I'm working with. So that's the space that I'm working in now. So just to review, I had pulled in my pattern that I want to use, and I'd use the magnify button and some features to get this closer to the size that I wanted. So I can continue to use these arrows, all of this with, again, using select. You need to either select all or unselect all, and you can tell which ones are by turning on your points. It's like that's all selected, that's unselect. I would want to select all. And then I can remove these nodes so that I can see better, and I can size this or I can move it. I can drag it while all the points are selected so that it's closer to where I want it to be all at once. All right, and you see that is still bigger than I need it to be, so then I could size it until it all fits in there. So now that fits in there pretty good. But I want you to notice that I have a lot of blank space through here. And I want to show you something that it would be much better if I could edit that, right? But with this number of nodes, with all your nodes like that, that is a flattened pattern. It would be very hard to edit this, to pull those points out or to move that a lot. So what I did, and that's a completely different lesson, is that I drew over the top of this. I used the swap features, undo my nodes, and if you notice that it really was not hard to do because this is just a repeating unit. So I drew one of these and then I copied and pasted until I had 4, and then I drew it as an unflattened pattern. So I'm going to stop the video and just show you that this is indeed, now it fits in there, and it was a lot easier than the placement method when you use select and so. But if I wanted to, I would like to be able to fill in these spaces. So the next video is going to show you how I do that. Okay, so again, with all these nodes, if I wanted to make any edits into this block, I can't do that or not easily, because there are too many nodes. So what I have done is I previously redrew this block. I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to select the block that is not flattened. It's unflattened. Here it is, right here. All right, so here's my block, and as you can see, it has far fewer points on it, nodes on it that can be edited. So I'm going to turn the camera off really quickly and resize this and then show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so all I have done is use the magnify button and use the move arrows and the size buttons to get that shape into there as best as I can. Now I want to show you how I'm going to turn the nodes back on. Everything is selected. I'm going to go to unselect so that I can kind of see. I'm also going to magnify just a little bit more and move my screen till we're back over there. So I'm going to select one of these nodes, just like this, and then I'm going to say fit. Oops. Magnify. There we go. It will move it to the center of my screen, and then I'm going to just show you. So what I'm going to do is I have selected just that one node, and now I'm going to move it. See, I have moved it, and it fills in that square just a little bit better. I unselect. I'm going to select. I'm going to move this one. I'll scroll up a little bit. And I'm going to do that with all of these. Unselect. You just got to make sure that you only pick one point at a time. Kind of fill it in. Unselect. That. There we go. So now let me scroll back out. That kind of fills up, turn off my nodes, that fills up the space better, and I can't do that in select and sewed mode. I can't move those. So what I'm able to do is, with the unflattened pattern, I'm able to make some adjustments. I can even now go into, after I've moved those points, I can select all again. I could even make this a little bit bigger so it fills up the space even more. Because now that gives me some space a little bit to kind of play with to fill up these spaces even more. And when I'm happy with that, this is the beauty of doing this one. I'm going to be able to go into select and sew and sew this just as it is without having to place it again. And how you do that is like this. You say quilt, so you're going to be prompted to save it, and you're going to have to save it as a name. You're going to say, okay, I'm just going to save it as 2. You can save it as whatever you want, but each time you do this, you'll have to call it a different name. And I'm going to say save. It's going to open back up into select and sew. Here we are. And so now you can see our shape is still there, and what we've done to it is still there. And I'm going to hit quilt, and it's going to give me another message. It's going to say the pattern has not been placed. Do you wish to proceed? But it is placed. So you can ignore this message right here. You're going to say yes. And now you would just pull the bobbin and sew, and it is going to be exactly as you want it to be. I really like this method. I find it very useful for a lot of reasons and for a lot of applications, and I hope this helps you.